6:30, so I sent it out and said, hey, I don't know if we're on the same page on this meeting.
Yeah, I
so.
thought it was Wednesday. I looked at, after Ann called, and I had it written down Tuesday also, but I don't know why I was thinking Wednesday, but anyway.
So is there a commission meeting tomorrow too, or not? No.
Just today. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is January 26th. This is Tuesday. This is Broadwater County Commission meeting, general business. And before we start, I do have see some members of the public. Do you guys have any public comment? All right. We'll go ahead and make this a working meeting then. Ashlyn Jones, contract WIC. Corey Swanson, county attorney, county WIC services contract. So, where we're at is Ashlyn used to work WIC in Broadwater County, so she knows all the clients. She has had a contract with Broadwater County in the past. So what we're here to do is to see if we can't devise a contract to get WIC services other than, we have Lewis and Clark County coming in for a couple days. Yeah, it's worked out really well. But what we'd like to do is have a permanent WIC presence. So that's why we're here today, is to work on that and have a good discussion.
Okay. So what's the actual proposal of how you want to do this? Because I guess you are the nurse right now, or you. I guess maybe just tell me how you guys anticipate doing this going forward.
Well, we have, Ashlyn and I have talked, and we think there's clientele for WIC of probably 2 to 2.5 hours a week, depending on the week. So what we need is a contract. She would like to be a contract employee at this point. We can certainly address something in the future if you are interested in that as far as employee status. Do you have anything to add?
No, I was just kind of curious about all of the logistics as well. That's kind of what I wanted to come and see to hash out as far as hours and just everything. How do you want it set up? So
pay, mileage, all that good stuff.
Do you live here? Where do you live at?
I live in Helena. I actually just recently moved. I was here in Townsend for 7 years. But I just moved. Yeah.
That is the WIC contract. I emailed you about it. It does have in there the legal requirements that we have under the federal government in there, and it's signed by Lynn Gravely. It was stated that the WIC contract was solely between the Public Health Office and the state. It's not. It's between DPHHS and the county. So that makes us responsible for those federal requirements.
So a big part of this is I don't know anything about this. So part of this is just figuring out what I need to know, I guess, and to give you either documents or whatever you guys need to approve it and make the decision. So I guess just so the idea would be you would do the WIC duties for whatever period of time each week, and right now those are being covered by Lewis and Clark County, right?
Very, very slightly.
Minimal,
There's
basically.
one more Monday that they'll be down here. Is it the 3rd? Is it next Monday? The 1st? And that's just not enough for everybody, so it's just for those people who can't travel to Helena.
Okay.
So we're barely fulfilling what we need to.
So what are you going to be asking them to do?
I would like Ashlyn to start coming in tomorrow. No, as soon as you are ready.
Okay.
I would like to see you come in. I would like to see you evaluate the client load and then determine on your own and let us know, is this a 2-day, 2.5 day, or 3-day contract?
Okay.
Based on need and what you want to do as well.
So I guess my question is, how long are you looking to contract with me for? You know, is it a 2-month or is it a 6-month? I just kind of need an idea of how long of a contract it would be.
What about through the end of the DPHHS task form?
So that would be September 31st, is that right?
Yeah, federal fiscal year. Just throwing that out.
Okay.
So how do you see her working with? So she would work with you as part of the public health department. Is that correct? How does that work?
Well, from what we learned from looking at other public health offices, ours for our size should be really 3 people, maybe 2.5. The RN, who oversees public health, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm regurgitating what you told me.
Yeah.
A dietitian who runs WIC, and then clerical or an LPN that does the grants, the administration, the reporting, and can keep the office open if Joni has to go to a meeting. Or, you know, pick up those things that aren't necessarily an RN's job.
So would Joni be assisting on those travel satellite clinic days? Because we do also oversee, currently, I think it's Whitehall, Boulder, and like Sulphur Springs, if you still have those.
Yes.
So usually you need someone to go with you just because you're seeing all of those clients in one day. So would she be the person going with me? How would that?
Certainly somebody would be going with you. We could certainly talk with Joni if you're interested in that. I think it'd be a great thing for you guys to go together.
Yeah.
Again, that clerk or LPN then is needed to keep the office open that day because we've advertised it open, you know, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then also I would like to see outreach for, especially for WIC and RN services to Raidersburg, the Wheatland area, Winston, Toston, get the whole county and start a real comprehensive wellness program.
So what goes into that? Is that, I mean, do they just establish some place where they meet people at Raidersburg or wherever? I mean, what do they do?
Well, with the other program, it's once a quarter now, and of
Yeah.
course you could reevaluate that on client load. As far as Raidersburg, the school, historic school they're rebuilding, I would think that'd be a great location, and it's such a small community. I would think once a quarter for half a day would be
Yeah, I guess
sufficient.
that'd be
That would
something
up
you have to
you.
work out with the state too, as to
Yeah.
whether they would allow, I think they probably have some.
I think to start off, you should just have them come to here, like they have been.
Oh, okay, before outreach.
Before
We would
going
work
to
with
any
the
outreach,
state and
yeah.
see what they would
Get
do.
this part established first.
So as far as this, the current satellite, is it 1 day a month to each of those 3 locations?
It's
Or is it more often than that?
quarterly, so once every 3 months to each of
White
those.
Sulphur, Whitehall,
Boulder,
and Boulder?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
And so, how long do you expect to have Joni doing or is she temporary, are you temporary, or how does that work? What is
The
plan?
slot is temporary to permanent, so we can either, because we're a county, we would have to advertise the position. We're gonna have to have it permanent if it stays under the county. So we will have to at some point start advertising and, you know, do it that way, same with the WIC. And we could address that at that time.
So
But yeah, we can't continue on a temporary basis.
What's the current, how long do you expect the temporary status to continue at this point?
Initially 3 months, but I understand we can get extensions to that. So it depends on how quickly we want to move to actually solidify this department.
And so are you the boss, is she the boss supervising Ashland, or how does
Yeah,
that
how
work?
would the setup be?
Yeah, I would think if that's okay with you guys, I would think that would be the best way to go.
And you're the ones who's gonna be there most of the time anyway, compared to
Yeah.
you, so.
Yeah, it sounds that way.
And then who do you report to? Just directly to the commissioners or to, so we had talked recently, actually last month, about the fact that the public health department, it has 2 parts to it. It has the sanitation and it has the healthcare, I guess, for lack of a better word. Is that accurate or is that not accurate?
No, not for our structure. I mean, sanitation is under public health, yes, but the sanitarian is under the commissioners, not under the public health supervisor
Okay,
or RN.
okay.
So for us, it's not quite that clear.
Okay. And so, what kind of documents do we need from you as far as your WIC certification?
Well, so the WIC certification is a training, and so I would have to redo that. I don't think it's I know they said they cut it back, so I'm not sure in hours, but it's definitely not a week's worth.
Okay, but do you have something to give us, a certificate of training that we need?
I have
for our file?
my RD license, I'm assuming we do that.
You're gonna have to tell me, because I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
I know that the state requires, you know, just your RD license and proof of education,
Does RD stand for Louisville?
registered dietitian.
Registered. I didn't know if it was part of the Department of Ed. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, and then they just have kind of these, check-off lists, so to speak, of trainings and things that you have to do in order to provide services.
And it goes through the state, so Kate Gerard
Mhm.
would let us know that Ashland is good to go.
Yeah,
Okay, so we need confirmation from her then.
And she's been in contact with us, would you say almost bi-daily? So she's been,
that's great, yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's been
definitely your
wonderful.
go-to.
yeah, all those guys have
Yeah.
over there.
Okay. And then do you need any additional equipment in terms of, have you seen the office or what they have there?
I have not seen the office, but I'm assuming that it's probably all set up. I can't imagine that it would have changed too significantly. Just a computer, really, I think is, and then all of your, I'm sure they still have all of the stuff for anthropometrics and the hemoglobin, like the EQ. Yeah, so that's about, that's all about it, yeah.
Okay. So what else do we need to, I mean, first of all, are you guys in agreement on doing this? I guess that's the first question.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering what your view too is as
Get,
far as when we
get
start
going.
advertising.
And then, well, each one of you will have your say your temporary case, and if you want to apply for later or whatever, you'll know how the situation is there. And other than that, as long as, like you say, the credential, well, this Kate will take care of that part of it, I guess, as far as credentials going. You get it open and going again.
Okay. So you currently work part-time at the hospital?
I do, I work 1 day a week at the hospital.
Okay. So this, as I understand, this would be a separate contract with you, not with the hospital?
Yeah, totally separate.
And they're okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay, there's
yeah.
no conflict issue or,
No, I'm not contracted with them, I'm an actual employee,
okay.
so, yeah. Totally
And so
separate.
as far as conflict, or as far as working out your work schedule with them or with us, are they flexible?
Yep, I just do Wednesdays with them,
Okay.
and so as long as it doesn't interfere.
Is there a upper limit of how many hours a week you want to work?
Well, that's what that's.
It's my son.
Oh, no wonder I can't see him through the window.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to meet with you guys, so that I had a clear definition, because obviously, you know, coming from Helena and having a family and stuff, I mean, I have certain things, I have daycare needs and things like that, so that's what I kind of wanted to hash out with you guys, before settling on anything, so.
Okay. So what's the ceiling that we shouldn't go above?
As far as hours, I mean, I'm up for I am up for up to 4 days. That's my absolute, I cannot do 5 days. So in terms of that, that's kind of up to you guys.
4 days a week? Or
Yeah.
5? Okay.
4 days a
4 days
week.
okay.
Are you counting your Wednesday at the hospital?
Not including that with you guys. So I can do 4 days with you.
Okay.
And then 1 day at the hospital.
Okay, all right.
That makes sense.
And one thing, correct me if I'm wrong, and you may not know this, but it's my understanding the WIC contract with DPHHS pays your salary, even if there's a little bit above because your contractor is, you know, generally more expensive. But still, the large bulk of your salary would be paid by our WIC
The
contract.
grant, that, you're talking about the grant.
Yes.
That's how it was in previous. I'm not sure if there's some way for you to set that up differently, but that's how it was before, is that it came from the grant, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
I got confused on this 2.5 hours you were referring to, as far as this is all it was gonna take you for being in that 2.5 hours a day, or whatever that was, and now you're, or a month,
I think she was actually meant 2.5 days when she,
2.5
you brought
days
that up
when you were talking.
earlier.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
days?
2.5
I think
days.
she was.
That was gonna, how much it would, is all the, kind of what we need?
That was, yeah, that was kind of a cushion as to,
Kind of a starting point?
yeah, we didn't know for sure, because I haven't
Because all of a sudden, you're
worked for
now
a
talking
year.
4 days, and it's like, wait a minute here.
Well, he asked me as to what my
Okay.
maximum amount
Alright.
is, and I was
Yeah,
like, I
I was-
absolutely cannot
Alright.
do more than 4 days.
I was asking your maximum, Phil, but what I don't
Yeah.
have a good sense of is what actually
Is needed.
do you contemplate is what the need to do that? You're saying you think 2.5 days a week is likely what it is, or 2
For
days a week?
WIC. Now, there's other things that need, again, we need more staff in the public health office. Can't be
So-
1 by 1.5.
Would you, do you want me to assist with the public health or strictly WIC? I guess those are kind of the.
Would you have a preference?
Can I step up?
You bet.
Sure. Would you have a preference?
I don't, like I said, I just kind of need to know what is expected, I guess, of me, but.
My thinking would be if you could assist, then we could maybe do a part-time clerical to take care of keeping the office open when you guys are on trips, and help out with the reporting and that kind of stuff that's really, you know, not requiring the specialized training that you guys have. So yeah, if you could step in and help out with all the workings over there.
So would we, just knowing how it was before, I'd be working in separate grants. So would you have a certain number of hours a week broken out for the other grants? Is that kind of how you'd set it up? And
Yeah.
a certain amount for WIC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And probably leave that to you both as the experts on this, to determine how much needs to be done to fulfill those contracts.
Are you gonna have 2 separate time cards then?
Okay, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and work this out here. That's intermanagerial, so we'll go ahead and answer those questions when we kind of get it worked out here. So this was more of a working meeting, and we'll go ahead and bring in public comment at the end.
As far as the data logger is concerned on the vaccinations, I think did you do that at one time? The third person down the list.
You're talking about the temperature recordings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done that before, yeah.
That requires 2 people every day.
Okay,
And it's, well, no, not every day. Whenever I can't do it, there has to be somebody available to do that.
Yeah.
That's a requirement of the contract.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, if that would work, you know, to have.
Yes, that would be something we'd have to kind of hash out and see exactly how many hours and what duties, I guess, would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we could do, I'm thinking of something with you, Franklin, is maybe start and see how it works for 2 weeks. Get a contract signed, of course, and you tell us when you can start. Give it 2 weeks and see, you know, what the caseload is, what the needs are, and then hear back from you guys. Okay, we think it's gonna be 2 days for WIC, we think it's gonna be 8 hours for A, 10 hours for B, whatever.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
sounds good,
Yeah.
because it really needs to go that way anyway, because right now we don't have any idea. And as time goes on, it's gonna require more time, because right now we've been shut down, we're not doing much, you know, as far as vaccinations, but that will increase as time goes on, to a certain extent.
Instead of maybe the first month, you 2 working together, so you get a pretty well pattern of how things are. I think it'd take a month to do that, don't you?
Probably.
And then you should have a pretty good grip and feeling how things are. I
Yeah,
would think.
I'm just thinking it,
Or do you think you need longer?
well, I'm just thinking as far as the contract, it almost has to be laid out in the contract, I think before, doesn't it? So that you know, this is how much WIC, this is how much public health. Is that,
I'm wondering if we couldn't have a contract that determines just the WIC and then hire you as a temporary, or temporary employee. For the rest of it, see how many hours are there, maybe you can help with this. The contract could, I don't know, could the contract state, we don't know how many hours yet, but as it works out, such and such for WIC and such for the
Yeah,
others.
the contract can say whatever we want to say in terms of a range of hours, and then we assess monthly or every 2 months or whatever. I guess here's my question is, again, because I don't know anything about this, so what's the reason why we would want you as an independent contractor rather than an employee? Is there a reason?
That's a good question. It's a very good question.
It is a good question, except, we have to advertise 2 to 3 weeks, interview.
Even for a temporary employee?
No. For DES, we were able to just appoint Mike for 1 year, but then we could go ahead and advertise the positions, in a couple months or.
Because one of the things to keep in mind
contract.
is if we're doing part of the time as an independent contractor and part of the time as an employee, it's really easy for us to mess up the accounting.
Yeah.
And it's also really hard for you
Yeah,
to know what taxes are being withheld for your income versus what you have to set aside for paying.
Yes.
It gets complicated.
And the independent contractor alone can be, complicating, because you have to account for those extra taxes and
Yeah.
all the
And
extra
there's certain
fees and,
requirements of,
yeah.
there's certain requirements of independence of somebody as an independent contractor
Mhm.
that you don't have to deal with as an employee. And then you have things like workers' comp, right? So she gets injured, is she working as a WIC person or a public health person at that moment that she got injured?
Absolutely.
So is she covered by workers' comp or is she not?
Yeah, and that was a really bad idea that was ringing in my head as a bad idea, which is why I looked to you and said, can we do the contract for A, B, and C? Yeah, it's one of those things you walk yourself through it, and it's like, oh, we're headed for a train wreck here.
So that was my first question, is why did we start with the independent contractor idea? And you had done that before, apparently.
Yeah, I had done that before, and like I said, I'm open to anything. What I would like is really to know what the job is, before I step in and.
I think we're all on that same, what
Yeah.
exactly do we need to get done here?
Exactly. I don't want to jump in without things fully defined and clear.
Right.
That's my concern and my worry, and I have to know that what I'm doing is going to work for myself as well as my family. Like I said, I have, the reason why I quit initially is because I had daycare costs and things like that. So I just need to know that I will make money and not lose money on daycare, first of all. And I just want to know exactly what I'm getting into before I step into things.
Sure.
How would it be if a temporary hire for say a month? Would that work that way then? And that way you can,
And I don't even know what our upper limit is, I don't know if it's 1 year or
It is
what,
1
but,
year.
I was once hired as a temporary hire for a 6-month period, and then by law, they had the ability to renew it for 6 months, then they could not renew it beyond that. That was just something that I did once. So I'm aware that that may be something that we're allowed to do. I don't know, are we allowed to do a 6-month renewal, or is it its the initial term and that's it?
The 6-month renewal, I would leave up to you, but all I know is going back to the DES situation that we had, Mike Saystad, who's chief legal counsel at NACO, had said, you guys can go ahead and hire Mike Conkey, who used to work DES here, for up to a year, but not a day more, he said. So I would think we could do 6 months. Maybe it would be wise again to go to the end of the contract, September 30th. We're trying to do those kinds of things at that point. We could still put in a change starting in August, or July, but just having that through the contract, I think is probably the wisest thing.
So can you explain to me the differences? So I would be an employee, so I would not be having to pay my own taxes, right?
Correct.
And I would be covered as far as insurance, liability, workers' comp, okay.
30 hours is the cutoff for insurance with the Affordable Care Act.
Okay,
And I think you were here when we had Teamsters
Yes.
CUR insurance.
yep, I do.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, so if it's below 30 hours a week, then the county would cover your insurance.
So are you looking for more than 3 hours? Is that coming back to, what are you looking for?
That's a good question. I don't
I don't know,
know.
that's why I like to see this short period, a month or two, whatever, so you both kind of know what it's gonna be.
So you're currently on a 3-month plan, is that correct? Or is that
that
not
can
correct?
be extended, yes.
Right.
It's just that's where
And
it
it's
usually
basically
starts.
been in place for a week? How long?
You started the 11th, so
Yeah.
Okay,
is that
couple
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
so we can work something like that?
Well, part of the issue is what is the grand, plan for public health that the county commission, at some point you're gonna have to figure that out. And so, hopefully within 3 months, you can figure out what you wanna do. So that might be what we do, is put both of them in around that 3-month window. If that's, I don't know if that's something that you would say, yeah, that's good, or that's not enough certainty, or whatever. Then at that point, if you go, yeah, we're gonna make this work, then you advertise, and they may say, hey, we love it here, we're gonna apply for the jobs, or they may say, no, we're moving on. That might be the way to go, but there's a way to do it, but I'm not the one that's gonna tell you how to do it. You guys have to decide what you wanna do. Or you may wanna say, 6 months makes more sense, and then you look at renewing her, potentially her contract. Is it, I'm not sure how it works. Is it with A to Z? Or?
It is with A to
Okay,
Z,
okay,
yes.
Yeah.
okay. So, there's a lot of different ways to do this.
Yeah, the main thing is to have this trial period so you have an idea what,
Well, and meet the immediate need. That's what has to be.
what's that?
Meet the immediate.
Oh, yes,
need.
yes. And then you'll kind of know how things are, because at this point, you're as much in the dark as we are, because
Yeah.
you have everything to do with it.
So what do you guys think about, I guess, what do you think about that? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? What makes sense?
Chairman, if I
Yeah,
could speak.
please.
I appreciate, Franklin, you saying 1 month, but I think they need more time than that to work things out. I think you need a minimum of 3 months to figure out where you're going with things. Because since that thing was closed down completely, you're starting from square one.
Well, that's fine. I just used the month because we was trying to figure out how many hours
Yeah.
it'd be for you, there. And I thought maybe in a month you'd know, but if it's 3 months, that's fine with me. And actually, the sooner you know, I guess the better. Well, if we're gonna have a certain period of cutoff time, I guess it won't make that much difference.
And I'm now remembering, as we finalized the CBA, there was a group of employees that were excluded. Was it seasonal or was it temporary from health insurance?
Seasonals for sure. I can't remember if it was temporary or not. Now, do we have the option to say this is is that, yeah, I don't know. And that would be something to look at, yeah, because if we could have an option either way, I don't know. So that's another thing to think about. So what do you think from working in the department before? Are you interested in starting off with 4 days? Do you think you want to try it with daycare and seeing what the job is with 3? What is it that you are thinking or you would like ideally?
I guess it comes down to how much I would get paid hourly as to how many hours I would need. It's kind of all just a balancing act. I have looked into my daycare at Helena, and it's going to cost me $1,200 a month. That's a pretty steep bill. So that's my concern. So, hours, that's where I'm flexible. It depends on, how much I make as to how many hours I have to have minimum to meet that.
Would 3 10s make a difference versus 4 days a week?
It might, yeah,
Your daycare?
It might. It depends if I can find a daycare that would be open for those hours.
Sure.
It's all just this balancing act. And so that's, the hard part for me is just not having any set definition for me to start looking and saying, yes, this will work, or no, this won't work.
Right.
Have you done any calculations to figure out hourly what that would be? I know that we were talking contract.
Well, contracted, I would have to get paid more just because I'm going to be paying twice as much in taxes and things like that. So I guess it depends on whether you want to do contracted or if you wanted to do.
Have you thought about an hourly rate for non-contracted?
I haven't.
All right.
Really thought that out. I guess
My calculator
that might be
would
for you guys to decide too what your
So, how many hours a week are you working?
40.
You are 40, okay. So, that would be the question of, let's say Ashland's like, no, I'm just gonna do, let's say 20 hours a week and focus on the WIG specific duties. So then, it would seem to me that potentially you're gonna at some point say, we need a clerical person for a certain number of hours a week, which makes sense because you're using her for her best skill set, and then you're using somebody else for other duties, probably paying them a little bit less as well. And that may, I mean, if that's kind of where you're thinking of going, that probably also would increase her flexibility, where she may do the week, say, Monday, Tuesday, or, whatever. So that might be something that they work out. I don't know.
Clerk, could they both be working on that part of it?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
That's cool, yeah.
if you're hiring a nurse and a dietitian to do clerical work, that's not the best plan.
Yeah.
Because they're more trained in other things, and
I don't know what the difference is in an RD and an LPN either. I mean, we really need an LPN to give vaccinations if I'm doing something else. I mean, is that what were you thinking about?
Yeah, I think we need a third person. There's no question about that. Yeah, if an LPN's better than a clerical, then I'm being with that. I don't know, and that's the reason I kind of thought this is really not appropriate or the right thing to Woodbury County, because we have no medical training, knowledge, expertise at all. But yeah, okay, so an LPN and a clerical are exactly the same for the county perspective budgetarily, because those contracts pay for them. Because they make less than an RN, right? So we could actually start advertising right now for an LPN to have that third person. And then that would still give you guys the chance, because you need to figure out exactly what the makeup is and the requirements, and fill in those blanks.
Yeah, I think it has to be an LPN. I'm with you, because if someone comes in and you're in a room, there's always other people coming in and saying, can I have my blood pressure taken, can I have, and I wouldn't be able to do those things. So, yeah, I definitely think it's.
so you're saying a third hire LPN makes more sense than a secretary?
Yes, definitely.
And then, I mean, then you guys figure out amongst yourselves how you share management duties or whatever it is, administrative duties, is that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, when I was there before, I was full-time, and I can't remember the exact hour cutoff, but I want to say, I was 32 hours a week, and I want to say it was somewhere around 28 hours I did WIC, 26 or 28 hours, and then the rest was, it's kind of interesting because you have each grant, so it was like 2 hours of bioterrorism and out, you know how that works.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say that that's how it was when I was there before. It was about 28 hours of WIC a week.
Okay.
So, I
That
don't
gives
know if
us
that
a
gives
good
us an
starting point.
idea, yeah, of where to start.
Absolutely. And right now with rebuilding and, strategic planning and what's the future look like, there's some other things to be done aside from that that's kind of exciting.
And I think too, since you're planning on, I would be coming totally out of the WIC grant, right?
No,
Or,
the 26 to 28 would, and then I'm thinking the same structure as before, the other 2 hours for bioterrorism,
Yes.
cancer prevention, that kind of thing.
but the 26 hours would be solely from the WIC grant. It wouldn't be county assistance or anything else, right? As far as,
Correct.
okay, so that might be something where you guys have to look and say, this is the maximum amount we can pay her because our grant doesn't allow anymore.
Okay, now if that's the discussion, the county can, we were before, just a couple months ago, we were paying over the WIC
Okay, because when
contract.
I was there, it was strictly the WIC contract. So that
Okay.
might be something that you guys have to do number crunching on too, and our maximum that we can pay is this much, and so that would break down hour-wise.
Is the WIC
Okay.
grant limited to 26 hours a week?
No, it's limited in pay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
And
why
it's-
I was 26 hours. I maxed out that amount and then I fulfilled the other duties elsewhere.
Yeah,
So,
and it's by dollars, not hours. So if you were making $30 an hour versus 20, we could get fewer hours paid by the grant.
yeah. So that's something you
So-
might wanna look into too, and just see, well, what is our maximum amount? How much are we willing to pay? And then that would give us an idea too,
Absolutely,
so.
yeah. Yeah, we worked out that. And I still think Joan would be the supervisor over
Yeah,
there, because you're the grant.
And that would be great too, because for the expenditure reports for WIC, I don't know if anyone's been filling those.
We have an extension from DPHHS.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of nerve-wracking, because I know before I did them and then the public health nurse had to sign off on them too. So that would be great if she oversaw me, so that we can have that double check system with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, are there other issues to discuss? It seems to me there's a few things we need to get done then. So I'll talk to Mako in terms of making sure that the temporary, if we do a temporary hire now, that we can do it without advertisement. So we need to, I don't know how we do this. I guess we could do it, or you could do it, just the confirmation of your certification through DPHHS.
Yeah, that's
The WIC grant amount, to figure out what portion of that would be, you know what I mean? What's that amount of money available for that expenditure?
Yeah.
And then an hourly estimate of what the job needs, that might be between the two of you to think about. You might wanna go over and look at the office this
Yeah.
year. And I guess then if you guys can give us some kind of estimate of that. And then the commissioner's timeline of how long you, if we do a temporary hire, how long you wanna do that. And then, I'm assuming you wanna make a decision fairly soon on this?
Well, I think we need to. We've got clients to serve.
Yeah, that's, yeah, going in, I don't mind if you're having 6 months or whatever, 6 months in extended, or 6 months of DP, or
So I'll just find out if there's some
Okay, yeah.
parameter we need to follow on that.
whatever worked the best, and that worked the best for you two. You two are the ones that are gonna be doing the work, and
Okay, and then,
I'm wondering if we can go ahead and start advertising for the LPN, put that in the paper for 3 weeks or 2. And
well, I guess that's the next question.
could that be temporary too?
Is that, can you do that without making the decision of what you wanna do long-term? Because you plan, would you say you plan on hiring an LPN regardless?
Well,
Kind of sounds like.
so we could do a temporary, just like we're talking about with Ashland. Really, instead of going through A to Z, we could just have a temporary LPN that would step in, right?
That's what I would think, that way we could get somebody right away, without it, when you have that, well, we should have to advertise, but I mean, kind of be quicker, and you two would have somebody to work there with you right away, hopefully.
It makes sense with Ashland to go ahead and just talk to you and say, okay, can you do it, to start a town, whenever it works for you. The LPN is a little bit more tricky. There's a lot of LPNs in town, there's a lot that are interested. A temp is very quick, we can get somebody in right away, but how do we advertise for a temp? Can we advertise for just a couple of weeks and then select somebody? I mean, how do we do that without being fair, because we're government?
Without being fair?
Yeah, I mean,
I think you could do the same thing. You should be advertising for a temporary position that may or may not be extended. It may say temporary position for this long, and it may or may not become a permanent position, and if it does, we'll have to go through an application process for that.
okay, so LPN would make sense through the end of the fiscal year, since they would be a county, would still paid for by the grants, but not quite as beholden to the federal timeline.
Okay, and I think it goes back to, if I'll find out if there's a time limit on that. If it's 1 year, that's great. If it's 3 months or 6 months, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Can do that very quickly.
So we are gone next week. Can we get together Friday maybe, if that works for you guys, or another day this week to actually make some decisions rather than waiting till the 8th or after?
So I have a very big court day here Friday.
Okay,
Friday I could do it, it'd be late, it'd be like 4 p.m. before I could do it. But I could, but that's, I guess the question is, would we know everything to be able to make a decision by Friday?
we could have an hourly rate proposal
Okay,
that we could send you if you're not available Friday via email
okay,
and communicate that way the
That'd be
following
great.
week. We could also solidify some proposals for timelines
that'd be
for LPN and for WIC. We would have the information from NACO on the timelines for temporaries. I think we could have all our answers.
Okay.
Kate's gonna be the easiest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very good.
Okay. And you feel okay with that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, then would, at that time, we decide for 6 months or whatever, right?
And then and that may also be the decision to start advertising for a temporary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think in 6 months, the office will be pretty much back
Yeah.
in,
Established.
yeah, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
I
sure in
think
3
before
months,
then.
but I think in 6 months it definitely would be.
So that, I guess that, we're looking at a 6 month ideally if there's not something open for that. Okay.
So may I ask why you didn't just decide to hire just to fill the position instead of?
For WIC?
Yeah,
I
Main
didn't
thing
know.
I'd say is to get it started, get it going right away. And it's gonna be, like I say, you get your trial period, say it that way. And if you don't like the way operations are, you can leave, see, but at least we're getting the thing open back up. You know.
Oh.
That's really the main thing, I mean.
It's really important
oh, absolutely.
to a lot of people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of people rely heavily on it.
The reason I didn't look at that is I was looking at you, again, you bring a certain amount of consistency because you know the clients. I thought that was really important, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could see that it would be a very difficult position to step into not having a background, to completely run the entire office. Just, it took me quite a few years of training with Dana and working that contract before to even understand the program. So it's-
Yeah.
So are you concerned about, are you both traveling from Holland then?
Yeah,
Okay. Are you guys concerned about?
I'm not really.
Okay.
like I said, it just comes down to basic numbers for me, so as long as I can get ahead, I'm not concerned.
And does the health insurance matter to you? Having it or not having it?
It would be a perk, definitely, knowing the health insurance. So that would be something I'd have to weigh in, I guess,
Yeah.
depending on what you propose.
Okay.
Be
Well,
great.
I can start on this and I'll send you an email with what I find out.
Okay. Can we post for Friday at 4 then? Or just postpone this meeting till Friday at 4?
I'm fine. I'm confident I'll be out.
The jury.
Don't do it here though, because there might be civil cases after me.
Okay,
So we would need to do a different room because I can't guarantee the courtroom will be available for.
sure, sure.
But I'm
Do it down in the
I'm
commissioner's
confident I'll be
room.
done. Yeah.
I'm actually thinking we'd be wiser to go to your office.
That'd be fine.
All right, we'll go to the public health office and then that way there's somebody there to be open.
Is there like room if there's public members coming? Room for
There's a table
audience?
for
Yeah, there's just
8.
kind of a small skinny table back there.
Yeah,
Crammed for more than this in that room.
yeah, for safety meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really just a working meeting to hash out some numbers, so.
Good.
I just think it's better service to the public if we can do that.
That's it.
Well,
Okay.
but if we're in a meeting there, then you can
Well,
take care of
yeah.
it. I think we should have it down in our regular
You
meeting
could.
room downstairs.
Yeah.
I think
Start
so.
a meeting there, right?
Well, it's the office, the meeting room is back here, and the front door is here, so
They
if
can't even
somebody,
see it or
Right.
hear, they couldn't hear
you go
from
down the
them.
hall this way and then way down this way, so
Okay.
it's accommodating the public, I think, a little bit more to do
Well,
that.
Not if you're in the meeting, I mean, if we're in the meeting and somebody comes in, you're gonna run over and give them a shot, say, for example. Where if we're here, it's closed for X
Well-
number,
Uh,
I guess whatever works best for you.
there's a bell on the door that I can hear, you know, if somebody comes in. But as far as vaccinations, because we were closed and, I've completed all the training I have to have, but now I'm working on the contract that has to be into them by the end of this month. And not knowing very much, it's taken me longer to do that kind of stuff.
I just use that for example.
So I'm not really doing vaccinations right now. I'm doing a lot of paperwork and learning.
And that might be a time when the public is coming to get vaccinations, right before, right? When people get out of school or whatever, and I don't know, I have no idea.
No, it hasn't mattered so
Okay.
far, but I'm sure there'll come a point where it will.
Okay.
But when that is, I don't know.
Well, just tell me where to be and I'll be there.
All right, so I have a couple more questions. We have mileage, your contract, and we pay mileage to our contractors. Is that good with you, Franklin?
Okay.
All right, so I just want to make sure we have that on the record.
What mileage to come to work, okay.
Yeah,
So
we
then
pay it
if-
to Michelle
if you-
and pay.
I understand that if you do these satellite visits, that if the county car is available, they use it, and if not, if they use their personal one, then that mileage is reimbursed like any other county,
Right.
right?
Yeah, so those satellite trips take that.
That was the question I was actually gonna ask, if we were allowed to.
So it's 3 day, every quarter for 3 days you'd be gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you space them out probably, don't you? You don't have to, or,
I think they said before they would take 1 week and just kind of knock them out.
Oh.
And then, but I'm not sure on that because it was different when I was working. It was set up differently. So that's a change. But
And I would think that would be something you guys want to,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
work
yeah, it
on.
would be totally schedule wise and if there's an LPN in there to keep the office, you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that, I guess would be.
And by then, I think the next one is scheduled for March, so by then we should be able to have an LPN that can keep the doors open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then my other question is, we have an email from Lewis and Clark County, and I sent an email on this. We have WIC coming from Lewis and Clark County to service our folks. And again, this is in keeping with our federal requirements of the contract. So this is what they would like us to do.
This is just until we pick up the coverage, is that correct?
That is correct. So this is really for one more Monday and last Monday. But number one, they want us, Lewis and Clark will absorb Broadwater County families into Lewis and Clark WIC clinic schedule whenever possible. Number two, Lewis and Clark County will provide staff assistance in Townsend on January 5 and February 1 to serve families that are unable to travel to Lewis and Clark for services. Three, Broadwater will pay salary, benefits, and travel for one regional dietitian to assist in the Broadwater County WIC clinic 2 days. WIC County will invoice Broadwater County after services have been provided. So this was after the conference call with DPHHS last week. It was last week.
Katie, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
And she advised us of our federal requirements and timelines, and unfortunately, we didn't have Franklin there, but based on the fact that the WIC contract is signed by the county, I was kind of in a tough position, but didn't have a choice.
So did they come yesterday? And
Yes.
provide something?
It was yesterday, wasn't it?
And then Monday is February 1st, next Monday?
Yeah.
So they're gonna be done after February 1st?
Mhm. Now, if we don't have something on board with Ashland at that time, we can ask them to come back. We don't have a guarantee that they can understand, she's already an employee of Lewis and Clark, we're just borrowing her, her name's Becky. But for the, again, for the consistency, I would really like to have, you know, our own WIC representative.
I think with all the changes, I think that would be a kind of a comfort to the WIC clients, don't you?
Yeah,
Because everything's been up in the air, you know, and it's just,
Yeah. So I'd like approval to go ahead and email Lewis and Clark County's Public Health, Community Health Promotions Administrator.
You're saying to confirm, like she says at the end, review, confirm our agreement.
The email response, yep. So that goes to you, Franklin.
Yeah, I think we can do it.
And that's a motion.
That'll be the motion.
Okay, I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to go ahead and respond in the affirmative to Community Health Promotion Division Administrator's email that was just read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Other thing,
Aye.
do we have to put any
Motion
dates
carries.
down or not?
What's that?
Do we have to put any dates on this then?
On this one,
Or we
well,
just-
looks like, it looks like they're expecting it to end after February 1st.
Yeah, so, okay, I guess we just leave it at that and need be, but that's what they come back again or whatever, I guess.
And it may not be necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the goal here.
Are we, anything else you need from me?
No, anything else that we've missed?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Very good. The only thing I have is just some mail. Franklin, I know you went to the LEPC meeting. There was a discussion on the bylaws. Can I give that to you since you were there to go ahead and follow up on that? And if there's nothing else for the good of the order?
Can I keep this?
Can I get a copy?
Yeah.
Or actually, can I make you a copy
Yeah,
and get
make me a copy.
the
Did
original
you
back?
guys- It's just, I guess it's just,
That's
what
the
is
original
this?
grant,
That's,
isn't it?
yeah,
It's the grant and
For what?
the responsibilities associated with it.
yeah.
Probably should have-
Yeah, do you want it scanned or popped in your mailbox?
Okay, so now this is, we're going to 4 o'clock on Friday?
Oh, yeah, is that the plan? Friday, 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will try to make it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, I will try. I can't make any promises, but I will try.
Sure, I understand,
I'm
it's very
sure I
short
can, but
notice.
I'll check my calendar, if not, I guess
You can call in even if you need to, if you can't be here in person.
Because we'll need your approval.
What, where,
Not
when did
here.
we decide on the location?
I'd like to, downstairs, the regular commission room, rather than, unless you, people think you should have it over there.
I,
I think we don't have to worry about anybody, you just post a sign there out for whatever, and
I'm gonna reiterate, I think it's important to have it over there because I think we need to think about servicing the clients. So I guess we need a tiebreaker.
well, I mean, that's immaterial to me, I just thought, what,
You guys just, that's what you should do. You should start just flipping a coin on every time up.
That'll work.
It'll all iron itself out.
No trick coins.
That's right. Always call tails and always like, I don't know, we're gonna good run of good luck here.
It shouldn't be something where we have, you know,
I don't think we're gonna have a lot of interruptions.
I wouldn't think so either. I just think with us being closed, I think it's important to have that door open as often as we can. Just thinking of the customer service again. So unless you are, you know, I'd be willing to do it down here if you're absolutely staunch on that, Franklin?
no,
Okay.
I'm not, I mean,
Okay,
just
so,
have a normal place, but I'm more concerned on you two, where you want it.
so we'll go ahead and postpone today's meeting to Friday at 4 in the Board of Health, or the Public Health Meeting Room, and I will post that so that it's out there for everybody.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, both of you, for coming over.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Well, nice to meet you all.
Yeah, nice to meet you
Thank
too. Do you mind if I run over with you?
Oh, I'd love for you to.
Okay.
And before we adjourn, any public comment? Hey, Wynn. All right, this meeting's adjourned. And then just bring over some pictures on Friday.